Good afternoon, YouTubers. This is the ShallowCross Sports Network with the Double A bringing you another show. And this is an isolated show that I'm doing on Austin Peay football for the 2025 season. And with that said, let's get right on into it. Again, we're looking at the Austin Peay Governors here in Clarksville, Tennessee. This is the ShallowCross Sport Network with the Double A bringing you a show. And right off the bat, we're going to get right on into it. Austin Peay is looking to improve on what they did last year. Head coach Jeff Faris, he's in his second year, and they had their fifth-ranked FCS recruiting class, ninth among high school signees in the country. They had a big roster turnover. They lost over 40 players, but they were able to replace them with 19 high schooler and 21 transfer portal players. So the storyline for Austin Peay is they want to rebuild and reload what they had yesterday. What they had last year, I should say, and with this basically a near empty locker room with all those players leaving. But they're looking at improving on what they had last year. One of the key games for them is Middle Tennessee on August the 3rd. They open up with Middle Tennessee on August 3rd. But we'll go over the schedule later on in the show. But anyway, just looking at it, like I said, head coach Jeff Faris, he's in the second season. The offensive coordinator is Quinn Billerman. He's in his second year also. And then, of course, Greg Jones, he's the defensive coordinator. He's in his first year. Like I mentioned earlier, they open up with they're going to open up with Middle Tennessee, and I think that's in Murfreesboro, and that's on the road. And then they go to Georgia on September the 6th, followed up by another FCS non-conference game with Morehead State. And, of course, Samford. Now, of course, Morehead State plays in that Pioneer League, I believe, which is non-scholarship. So I don't know how the new Division I 105 scholarship limit helps them, with that decision. But we'll see, of course. And then they also play Samford, and then they have 8 games with the United Athletic Conference matchups, and with those teams. So they've got, I think they have 1, 2, 3, 4 out of conference and 8. So they have 12 games this season. And of course, Austin Peay lost their athletic director. He went to Marshall, so I don't know if they've picked up a new athletic director or not. And then just looking at the, like I said, the Governors finished 4-8 last year. They're looking 3-5 in the UAC, and they're looking to improve on what they did last year. Ellis is a key return player, and he's a preseason all at UAC selection. And he tallied 26 tackles, and four tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 3 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, and ranked 5th in the UAC with 9 passes defended. So he's a defensive back, probably one of the best defensive backs, might be one of the best defensive backs in the FCS, and could be one of the best ones in the country. And then you got Chandler Curtin, offensive tackles. He plays offensive line, interior line, but he can also play center. And he's a preseason all-UAC performer. And he started 35 straight games for the Governors. And he started 12 at center. And so we're and they're counting on him to really do good things this year. And then, of course, Carson Smith, the kicker, he's named to the preseason All UAC also. He had 13 field goals, third most in program history, and booted a 53 and a 51-yarder, ranking amongst the longest in APSU history. So he's a great kicker. And usually, I'm gonna tell you, the NFL finds kickers in the lower levels, Division II, Division III, and also in the FBS and FCS. But more likely, you can find a real good kicker in the FCS that can play in the NFL. And then, of course, new additions to, and transfer depth. Like I said, they got 38 returners, complemented by 48 transfers. So I think I mentioned it was 40 transfers, but 48 total transfers, including 21 from FBS and 16 from FCS. So he had to completely rebuild and reload the whole entire team. 22 true freshmen. So I think I have on my board up here, on my ticker there, 19 high school players. So it's 22 true freshmen for Austin Peay out there on the field this year. And one of the top recruits in the transfer portal was Chris Parson, quarterback transfer from Mississippi State. And they had several wide receivers that they picked up in the portal also. Multiple defensive linemen and multiple offensive line reinforcements. The 2025 recruiting class ranks 150 nationally. That's when you look at it 24/7, what they have, and what On3 and Rivals will show, along with ESPN and those folks. They 150 national, improvement slightly from 156 from last year, and so the outlook looks bright. Like I said, it was a rebuild, and we'll see what Coach Faris does. The quarterback situation, they picked up another quarterback, Austin Smith, a grad transfer from Eastern Michigan. And so Chris Parsons, who's a sophomore from Mississippi State, Will Middleton, and Austin Smith all going to battle for that starting job. Don't know who's going to be the starter. I don't know. They're probably going to announce either this week or next week who's the starter. I have to go out there and look and do some research to find out. UAC preseason forecast indicates that Austin Peay would be 6th in the conference. Win-loss prediction projects a 6-6 overall and a 4-4 in the conference. Notably, all wins are expected at home, with an estimated 0-6 record on the road. So the experts are basically predicting that they're going to lose 6 games out there on the road this year. Strengths off the Peay's strength this year: stability in key spots, center, defensive back, kicker. Roster renovation via the transfer portal is a strength, and then of course a solid home schedule should favor them at the Faris Stadium. Challenges: quarterback consistency, road games seem like steep hurdles based on predictive models, and then of course Faris is still building his vision and system in year 2. And the quarterback, Austin Smith, they're saying that he needs to improve on his decision making and as far as throwing interceptions. I don't know if he was on the team last year. He could have been on the team last year. And he was very turnover prone. So they're looking at that as one of the main keys. But with that said, Austin Peay, I'm going to show you what they got going here and see if I can get to the website here and quick play it over there. But anyway, like I said, here's the schedule. And I think we've already talked about their schedule. But let's look at their roster. Oh, if I can get it to come up. Sometimes things just don't work out the way you planned. But anyway, the roster, that's a picture of the roster, and of course that shows all the coaches and so forth. I think this may be Faris right here. But let me pop it back over there. Put it back on, see if I can make some adjustments on it and get that roster to move. See here. There we go. Let's see what. But anyway, like I say, Austin Peay is hoping for a great year this year. And this is just look at their roster. Austin Smith was a starter last year, so I was correct. He started last year, and of course, this kid here, Chris Parsons, he's from Brentwood, Tennessee. He's a quarterback that's vying for that position, also with Austin Smith, and anyway, they added a lot of players to the roster. Go back to the schedule again, and of course the schedule. They open up with Middle. That's the FBS school. That's going to be on ESPN Plus, and then they go to Georgia, and that's a big money game. Hopefully Georgia's paying them well. And then Morehead State, I think they have them at home at Forterra, and that's the third game. And then they go to Abilene Christian to play Abilene Christian in Abilene, Texas, and that's a road game. And then they come back to Clarksville against Utah Tech, and then West Georgia, they play them at Forterra Stadium too. So that's what, 2 home games in a row. And then they go to Eastern Kentucky to play the Eastern Kentucky, so that's up there in Richmond, Kentucky, and then North Alabama on October 25th at Forterra Stadium, and then Southern Utah in Cedar City, Utah on November the 1st, and then Central Arkansas, they'll play them on November the 8th. That's in Forterra, as well as Samford in Forterra also. So and then the last game is against Tarleton State, and that's out in Stephenville, Texas. I don't know if it's East Texas or whatever. I think it's in East Texas, but anyway, that's just to look at their schedule. And the coaches, the new coaches, they hired, like I said, Faris is the head coach. But anyway, that's the head coach right here. Faris is right here, and then and you got Quinn Billerman, who's the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. Greg Jones, the defensive coordinator. Lucas Reed, special teams coordinator, and of course, run game coordinator Antonio Bradford. Now, Bradford used to be at Tennessee State, I think, at one time. And then of course, Shane Tucker is the game coordinator for wide receivers. George Qualls George Quans has been around a while too. Tight ends coach. And then DeAndre Parnell, defensive line coach. Offensive line coach Michael Gohee. And then, of course, Brandon Williams, the linebacker coach. And Rodney Salisbury Jr., he's the cornerbacks coach. Safeties coach is being thrown. Trevor Horton is the grad assistant. I think all the rest of these people are called the controlling grad assistants. But anyway, that's going to sum up this show on Austin Peay. Like I said, they brought in a lot of good players. We just hope it all translate to the field. And that's going to end the show. God bless. Go Governors. And this is the ShallowCross Sports Network with the AA. We'll see you on the next show.